You're listening to Nothing But the Best.
Get ready for an unforgettable experience. Are you ready? Five,
Choo.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get hype.
What's up, Cowboys Nation? Coming up, we have a special guest in the building. NFL safety George Iloka, former Cowboy, going to rap to us about a little bit of Andy Dalton, a little bit about the DBs, and some Cowboys happenings. And of course, as always, Big Game James, Law Nation Skywalker still with the new feel. Let's go!
Boy, we crunk.
Oh yeah, all the time. Y'all ready?
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Come on. I get him pumped, G. I get him pumped.
I see that.
Welcome, everybody. I know you're probably like, wait, where's Law? Don't worry, guys. He's kind of in the middle of a meeting or what have you, so we still got him here, so he'll be locked in. But where are my manners, man? Let me introduce you guys to our special guest. If you weren't here last time, you might want to run back that interview we did. It was fire. We've got our guy, George Iloka, the host of the Gym Bag Podcast, in the building. What's up, G?
Appreciate you having me. I'm back.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, before we get into that, tell them where they can find that Gym Bag Podcast and why they need to subscribe to that.
Oh yeah, subscribe to the podcast, man. It's the Jim Bad Podcast. We're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Buzzsprout, pretty much anywhere you can find or listen to a podcast. And our podcast is a little different. It's not going to be like the things you listen to on ESPN. We found our flow, we found our voice. And it's more like a conversation that you're sitting in on, but a good conversation. It's pretty easy, pretty soothing to the ears.
It is.
And you'll pick up on a few things when you listen to it. So yeah, please subscribe to my podcast.
He is not lying. James, didn't we get a couple of some good nuggets, some good Cowboy nuggets from that podcast?
Oh, we became homies after that podcast.
We got Kayvon, I think it was Cheeto. It was some good stuff, man. And of course, having the Cowboys background when you were with us in the summer, you were privy to a lot of things, and we talked a lot about that. But obviously, we were going to start with a totally different thing, G. We were. Until the news dropped on Saturday. So I would be remiss if I didn't start with the quarterback situation in Dallas right now. And I looked on your Twitter. I think we actually disagree on this one in a sense. Whereas
talk to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's jump in the ring. Let's jump in the ring.
Well, y'all know.
Let's get this thing out.
Y'all know how I do. I'm always pushing back.
Hell yeah.
We love objectivity. We love it.
So check it, G. We believe this is mostly just about a backup thing with Andy Dalton, right? But
okay.
I think you believe it could be a little bit more than just him being a backup, correct?
Andy Dalton, it was a starter in this league up until like 3 games midway through last season, where they pretty much made him the scapegoat to a bad team. It is what it is, but he's a starter in this league, an accomplished starter at that. You can say, if you feel like you want to say average, that's okay. But when we look at the NFL, there's not 32 starters anyway, and he was a starter at one point, led the team to 4 to 5 playoff berths, and so he's a good player, and he's been able to lead a team in the past. Now, them signing him to Dallas, they didn't bring him in to be the starter. They brought him in, obviously, but it's a 1-year deal. You can see by the amount of money they signed him to, like $3 million guaranteed, and then 7 up, in incentives, that they didn't bring him in to be the starter. But a guy like that, when your franchise quarterback hasn't signed, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, he hasn't signed on that dotted line for that franchise tag.
He has not.
Has he?
Nope.
So currently he's not technically on the team. Currently they're in the offseason program. I don't know if they got set up, but if they have virtual meetings, who's the quarterback, at least for right now, I don't want to say running those virtual meetings, but who's the quarterback that's in that place? You know what I mean? You have none.
Right.
So not only we can get to this later, Andy's in there probably picking up whenever they start their meetings up on this playbook, which shouldn't be too difficult for Dak to pick up on, because let's face it, Kellen's still coming back, and the offense is going to be tailor-made to Dak, which is perfect, which is fine.
Yes.
But it's still a new coach. You don't know what new wrinkles they're going to put in. Andy's picking up on these things. Andy is still the backup. He is signed to be the backup. If they're both there, Dak is obviously the franchise quarterback. But my position
give me the
is,
butt. Yeah, give me that.
My position is, and where I think that a lot of people are, here's the big debate, is did Dak lose leverage? And to say that he didn't lose leverage, to me, is you're just not being truthful, because put it like this: who was the former backup quarterback? Now, when I said lose leverage, he didn't lose Cooper, right? He didn't lose his leverage. Maybe let me rephrase that. The Cowboys gained a little bit of leverage.
Oh,
it didn't mean
I like
Dak
that.
lost. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't mean Dak lost his leverage.
I like
he
that.
just lost a little bit of it, right? Because put it like this: Cooper was the backup, right?
Right.
And now, would you say Andy is better?
Yep.
Yes.
Expeditiously.
My point exactly.
Right.
So when you're the team, when you're Jerry, all right, when you're the guys, the decision makers when it comes to the contract, when you say currently Dak he hasn't signed the contract. I think he should sit out and not play until he gets the money he wants. So let's just say he's in that position. When you're Dak, you saying, who's my backup? All right, go ahead. You can say, go ahead and try with Cooper Rush. No disrespect to him, I thought he was a solid player, but my point is I think Andy's better, which we all agree on.
Yes.
So my point is that is a harder predicament for an organization. So when you have Andy, it makes you a little bit more comfortable. I definitely believe with Andy Dalton, who in his first 4 years in his career, his numbers are similar to Dak. Dak in his first 4 years of his career, 15,778 yards. Andy Dalton, 14,610. Andy threw for 89 touchdowns. Dak threw for 97. And I would argue whatever the word is. Yes.
Up in here. Yeah.
That Dallas Cowboys have had a consistently way better line than what Andy was afforded. in his time in Cincinnati.
We talked about
so
this
what am I
last night,
saying?
G.
I'm not even going to speak on who's a better quarterback. I honestly believe Dak is a better quarterback from the standpoint of decision making, right? He's a better decision maker because Dak is able to create with his legs to either break the pocket and gain yards, or to create with his leg to buy himself time to till someone else gets open. So because of that, he's better with the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over very much. And so Andy sometimes, because either he's reluctant to or just doesn't have that ability to break the pocket and buy times with a leg, he forces the ball sometimes. But from a passing standpoint, they're pretty similar. So what I'm saying is, last year the Cowboys, regardless of everything we said, they went 8-8. I think as an organization, you can see Andy and say like, all right, if Dak holds out for 3 games, 4 games, 5 games, whatever the case may be, are we comfortable with the talent that we have already? You just drafted another first-round receiver. You still got Zeke. You still have that line.
Loaded offense this year.
It's a loaded offense. You hope the defense improves. I think last year was, the floor. Like I expect them to be better than they were last year. You see what I'm saying? So you have to ask yourself as an organization, are we comfortable with that? And I think Andy makes them a little bit more comfortable than Cooper Rush. And totally because of that, that's why I'm saying he lost a little bit of leverage.
And the Cowboys gained it, is what you said. I like that better. I absolutely love that, because we weren't hearing it from that angle, right, James and Law? We were mostly hearing the leverage is going from Dak. We weren't hearing the Cowboys gained it. I like that better than the Cowboys.
He didn't lose it all. He didn't lose it all. He still, come on, they gave him a franchise tag. Like, there's no question.
He's getting $31 million.
Right, and let me, before, like, if I leave one thing saying this show, I personally feel like Dak currently is a better quarterback than Andy Dalton because of that last part I said. The decision making, right? Be able to create. That's what separates him a little bit more. But passing wise, I've seen them both up close. There's not a throw to me that Dak can make that Andy can't make. I would argue maybe Andy might be a slightly more accurate passer, but whatever. We don't even have to debate that. Dak is a great player. You know what I mean? And y'all know I've been on the Dak deserves to get paid, folks, since
back then.
Then. So, and I'm saying they've disrespected him. So that position doesn't change. But I'm just saying,
you just keeping it real.
Yeah, you keeping it.
Just keeping it real, dog. You just keeping it real.
Well, let me ask you this then, since you're so on topic with that. If you Dak Prescott, do you play on that franchise tag? Do you even sign that franchise tag?
No, Dak shouldn't play another down as a Cowboy until they come to an agreement on a long-term deal. Because things can happen. I don't want Dak to be a Kirk Cousins situation where he gets franchise tag 2 years and then ends up going to another team. Now, it worked out for Kirk because he was the first quarterback, I think, ever, or maybe first player ever to get like a fully guaranteed contract. So money-wise, it worked out for Kirk, but I don't want that for Dak. So and Dak deserves it. Dak has done everything right on the field, everything right off the field, has said everything right. He deserves his money, and so I'm not telling another man what to do, but I just feel like, stick to your guns, man. Like, this is it. And honestly, when his new CBA, when his new CBA is up, say he does play this year, someone could correct me after the fact later. If he does play this year on the franchise tag, they can always franchise tag him next year. But next year is the new CBA, and on the new CBA, it's harder to hold out, if that makes sense. I think they can find you a little bit more on the new CBA, so they make it harder for guys to undercut. They can. It's a little hard on next season. So no, this is it. Stand your ground. And do we really listen? Like, how many? Yeah, obviously the Cowboys receivers. I don't know if they led the league and dropped passes last year. Yeah. But realistically, like, how many more yards can he throw for? Threw for 4,902 yards. Had 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Like, I agree. How much more? How much more better?
Like, what else you want to see, right?
Right. So how much more better is the next season going to be? It'll be like, aha, that's what he did. All right, let's give him his money. I don't think it gets better from here.
Gee, I can't see him playing on that tag. Gee, I think it's going to be.
It don't make no sense.
I think it'll get an extension. Go ahead, though.
I want to ask you something right quick, George, because I think just flowing off of what you just said, because I think they had Stephen Jones. He just came out and said, I think he was on the Fan, and he said, well, you know what? You can lay your head on the pillow at night now that you have an Andy Dalton.
My point exactly.
That's that classic. That's that classic stuff that Stephen Jones and them say, man.
Oh my
goodness. He compared him to Nick Foles, and everybody
knows.
He compared him to Nick Foles, and everybody knows Nick Foles took won't say took, but led the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs to that Super Bowl. Like,
That's what they
you know,
do, George.
he didn't skip a beat, and so as an organization, that does help you sleep better at night. That's all you're looking
And
for. At the end of
honestly,
the day,
it should, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But did we sleep better at night when we had Brandon Whedon? Remember, he came out and said he threw the best ball.
Oh, that was
he-
ridiculous.
That was Jerry.
Come on.
Steven.
I
ain't
don't
say
even know if
nothing
G
like that.
remember that, but yeah, back when we had Brandon Whedon, Jerry Jones came out and said he doesn't know anybody that throws a better ball than Brandon Whedon. He actually said that.
Played against Brandon. I
He said, "I played against
that's his opinion. I
know.
mean,
But so we're
all
just
I know is Andy was a far more accomplished player
way
than Brandon
better.
Whedon,
Oh
just
my gosh,
as a
way
starter
better.
in the league. So
True.
Can I
I
just
don't even wanna
ask
put
you
them in
this
the
real
same
quick,
category.
G? Because I've had people trying to tell me that the Bengals teams weren't good, and if you go back and watch my show last night,
break it
I
down
ran
again,
it through. I ain't gonna do that, G. I went like a 5-minute soliloquy, dog, about how good those teams were in my opinion, especially on defense. Y'all had a rocking defense.
the disrespect.
It's
all good.
unbelievable.
I don't blame them. I look like this. If the same some of them teams that we had in Cincy, if they were in the I want to call it the capital, because it feels like Dallas is the capital, in the capital of America, in Dallas City, which it is. I mean, we talked about some of the greatest teams just because of like the media that's behind it. It's a small market. I mean, there's years when we got guys like AJ, Gino, who are playing at like number 1 or 2 best in their position,
Yeah.
and they don't get talked about. So I'm not even tripping or like, I'm not really upset or even like mad at them. Like, if you're not a true football fan or really watch a lot of football, I expect you to think like the only time you saw us was in the playoffs. The only person you probably know is Andy.
Andy
You're
Dalton.
like, oh, he must have led a trash team to the playoffs. Absolutely
I
not.
kept
We're a
telling
good
them
team
that,
on
man.
defense. We're a good team on offense. Pound for pound at the skill position level, we've always had someone that's comparable, if not better than the Cowboys.
Your defensive
skill
ends, your defensive tackles,
Right.
Receivers,
So,
Sanu,
Leon
Jones,
Receivers,
Hall, them,
like, right. So
I mean,
if you say like, let's say Dez, I mean, great player, and then you got AJ. However you want to cut, let's say 50-50 down the middle if you want. Some people would argue AJ's better. Some people argue Dez is better.
Right.
My point is, Andy's had top receivers, just like the Cowboys organization had top receivers. So now it wasn't a bad organization. They did a good job building the roster. Just after that, was it that 4th or 5th time we made the playoffs and
The
lost
5th time,
to the,
yep.
to the Steelers, which was an upset in the end of the day. But anyway, they blew everything up. So that's why they haven't been as good as of late. But nah, he didn't lead like these nobodies to the playoffs. But he's a good player too, though. Don't get me wrong.
Think about this.
I mean,
for a second.
put like this. Even if say, and I fuck with Dak and I think he deserves his money. But let's say it like this: what teams would you say? Like, Dak is a good quarterback in my mind, right? Deserves his money,
right.
but he's had a good roster as well.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
He was a
You see what
great
I'm saying?
one.
So-
He
so-
came in eating.
Right. So
came
even
in with
if
a great roster, and
right,
I don't think in 2017 in the first half of 2018 it was a great roster, but other than that, yeah, he's had pretty good teams around him.
he is good. Yeah, good. He has had a good. At the very least, he had a good team. So
Collectively.
it's not. Yeah. So it's like I don't get what they're knocking. In terms of. I don't know if they're knocking us or boosting Andy. I don't.
They're
get it, but
boosting
my point-
Andy is what they're trying to do. So
okay, I get it.
here's what they're trying to do, G. They're trying to tell me
They're trying to
that
say he carried them squads.
carried-
He
the Bengals
carried them. Y'all ain't
by
have
himself.
nobody. He carried everything, George.
Nah.
Come on,
and
dog.
I had
But
to
he
run.
did, G.
I had to
Andy
run it down.
carried you guys.
That's what they said.
I was.
That what they
nah,
said?
He was a good quarterback. I don't think he carried us. I mean,
No.
there was even times when I thought like, AJ. I don't know if people even really watch AJ. AJ when he was healthy,
I
top 3
did.
he's
Oh
in the
my
league.
gosh, what?
He was arguing
What?
Oh my
People
God.
arguing him.
Yeah.
Yeah, top 3. Yeah. So I mean, there was times he threw it up at the triple coverage. AJ would just yank it over somebody's head. Like, that's the receiver. So I mean, now he's had some great players, man. So
According to these people over here, he made AJ. According to these people.
What?
No,
Yeah,
he's
don't do
he's
that.
been, he's being
Don't do
silly.
that.
He's being
Please don't
silly.
do that.
you see who's still there though.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Right. They put that
And you see-
franchise tag on him.
And you see if they were to release an AJ Green right now, you see how many teams would jump on him in a
Oh,
hot
my
second.
Absolutely.
goodness.
Hey,
Absolutely.
before we
Keeps
move on from Andy Dalton, G, you told us before the show you played with him prior to the NFL, or played against him?
Yeah, I
Was it?
did. Yeah, played against him in high school because we both from the Houston area. Played against him in college twice, and then obviously I was his teammate for quite some time in the NFL. So it was crazy. That's why when he got released, which I disagreed with the timing, they could have helped him out and released him prior to free agency, but whatever. I thought he would go to the Patriots and to the Jaguars just because of like the former OC with the Jaguars, and because me knowing who he is personality-wise, the college he played at, I thought he would be a good fit for the Belichick system, because he is that kind of guy. Like
I did
1
too.
+ 1 is 2. Like, he's like
Right.
he's very cerebral like that. So I thought that would be a good fit. So I did not see Dallas out of nowhere, but it is crazy that Kellen, who's is now OC, is the quarterback that he played twice when I was in Boise, and they're 1-1 against each other. But like, here's a guy he directly played against, like your peers.
Is his coach.
Now he's his OC, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. But, and he's a good dude, so I don't think that'll be an issue. Like,
that's what I was going to say. How is he as a person?
You must
person,
man. You read
good,
minds, G.
Yeah,
good person. A man of faith, family man. Only knock you would say is like, if there was a knock, you'd say he wasn't vocal. But that him and Dak lead the two different ways.
Okay.
Dak is a great leader because when you're around Dak, you feel like you just feel like he's gonna be in the front, and he's leading you into battle, whatever the case may be. Like
he's the one you want taking the dark alley.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And Andy's a leader in his own right. He's just not as vocal as Dak, or doesn't just give off that kind of feeling, or whatever the case may be. But Andy's a good dude, works hard, first one in, last one out kind of guy. Like Marvin even said in the interview, I think about a week ago, like he would have the game plan down by Tuesday.
That's what Dak said. He needs a veteran like that behind him.
So Andy's ready. Like, he's a guy that I honestly believe, like, when, hopefully everything works out with Dak in terms of him getting his money, that without being the starter, he's the type of backup that, he's never really been a backup, because by how I know how he is and how he prepares, that he doesn't need many reps to be ready, that you can be confident as an organization. Like, if something happens to Dak, which over the course of his career, he's been healthy, he's been an Iron Man, I don't think he's missed any games in his career, maybe missed a couple of practices. So hopefully it doesn't happen, but you always got to have a backup plan. And Andy's the kind of guy that you hope that as a backup, that he'll pick it up right where Dak left off.
Let me pick your mind on this right here, as far as this offense. And I know you played on the defensive side of the ball. Will this offense be more of a West Coast style, or will they have some of the vertical concepts that Kellen Moore bring to the table? And I know that Andy, he comes from a West Coast style. So is that a situation where they know that this will be an easy transition as well?
For Andy, or just for the offense? I mean, the offense is going to be tailored to Dak. I mean, it's
still Dak's offense.
It's still Dak's offense. They're not going to do anything from a offensive standpoint in terms of like, well, how will this cater to Andy? No, they brought him in to be the backup. They weren't lying when they said that. I don't know who's going to have more of a say when it comes to the direction of the offense, whether it's Kellen, the new young OC, the hot one who's done real well last year in his first year, or Mike McCarthy, because Mike McCarthy had his hand heavily on the Green Bay offense when he was there. So who knows how that works. Maybe they go back and forth with each other and, meet in the middle. So I don't know what direction their offense will go in, but they have the weapons that it really doesn't, honestly, with the weapons they have on offense, the offensive line, the quarterback, hopefully in Dak, that, I mean, whatever offense they pick, there's still no excuse. It's just too many weapons at the end of the day that it shouldn't work. You see what I'm saying? So, I'm excited to see what they do.
Yeah, me too. A law, or go ahead, James.
I was just, kind of just swaying with the defense. I don't know if we.
That's where I was about to go.
If we were going to segue to it, but we were talking about the cornerbacks, and why we wanted to bring you on. But I think the main person I want to talk about is Jordan Lewis, because we talked about this, I think, on our show maybe about a week ago, and a lot of people thought we was dogging Jordan Lewis, but we weren't dogging Jordan Lewis. We like Jordan Lewis, but you see the influx of the new players. You see Worley get signed. You see Kennedy. You see Diggs. You see Robinson. You see a whole new change of the guard. Al Harris says, I like the tall cornerbacks. You see. So do you really? And now you hear about Cheeto possibly flexing, which we had already talked about. We're thinking he should probably play some more safety. What's your kind of opinion about the Jordan Lewis situation and the Cheeto? Do you think a Cheeto goes to a safety, and do you think Jordan Lewis's days may be numbered in Dallas?
So I'll start with Cheeto. I don't know if you said you guys talked about this. I don't know if this is before I interviewed him or after, but in my interview with Cheeto, I think it was like a month and a half ago, 2 months. I think maybe even before free agency. The coach had already, they already had their new coach, so probably sometime after the draft or whatnot. I asked him about, I don't know how we got to the topic, but I asked him about, possibly switching positions. And he was like, he brought it up as if in a way like that he's thought about it. I don't know if because it's either mentioned to him or something that he wanted, but the way he wasn't like caught off guard by the question, he wasn't like taken aback. Like, here's a guy who's, starting at corner, and he was so, well thought out about the idea of playing nickel and safety and whatnot. That I don't know if they talked to him about it or if he was just very open to it. But he said in college that he was actually nickel. That's what he told me. He said that his natural position was nickel in college, and that he didn't really start playing outside until he got to the Cowboys. So he seemed very open to the fact and knowing who he is as a competitor. Wherever they kind of tell him like this is what we want you to play, he's going to attack that and he'll be fine if that makes sense. But I'll say this: he's very open to playing nickel,
Very
playing
interesting.
safety,
I
and
want
playing
him around
playing,
there.
playing
Yeah.
corner. So and sometimes change helps out players and helps them
I
reach
would love him
their
at
full
safety.
potential. I played with a guy that he played all positions on defense. His name was Josh Shaw. He played safety, played corner, and played nickel. Never could find his footing at one because they kept moving him, but he was good at all of them. But I feel like he was really good at nickel. Right at corner, he was okay. He was really good at nickel, and at safety, he was okay. Maybe a position change might help him tap into that new potential, or he could stay at corner and just tap and reach that full potential. Now. But yeah, he's definitely over to it. And then getting to Jordan, people got to, and I'm not speaking about y'all. I know how it looks, right? You see, yes, it is a changing of the guards when it comes to coaches. And when you get a new regime, there is, they want their guys. Like that's just part of the business, right? A new coach wants their kind of guys, like whatever that is, whatever their kind of guy is, they want that. And they're obviously going to inherit a certain amount of players from the previous regime. Either they fall in love with those players because they really do, or they have to fall in love with that player based off the contract situation, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So Jordan Lewis, I guess for everybody is I would say easy target, but money wise, it's not like they're obligated to him. He wasn't a first round draft pick, so it's like I see why. Yeah, if they're a changing of the guard and they want to get their guys in, I can see how they might think he's odd man out. But I wouldn't count out Jordan Lewis at all. I mean, when I was there, my time there, he always made the most plays. He always had his hands on the ball. He was that guy. He was like he's a real competitor. Like
He's a dog.
Yeah, he's a dog.
I've loved him from day one.
Yeah,
G,
something about when that. Yeah,
Gee,
something
where will you put Jordan Lewis at then? If you was the defensive coordinator?
It's a new. No, it's a new. No, I mean, so where I put Jordan is he's been there the longest. He's a second round draft pick. Really, beside, let me see. No, Byron's gone. I would start him off with the ones, and it's his to lose. He's earned that right. He deserves that right, and that's that. But
That makes sense.
like I said, it's a new defense, right? Jordan wasn't a full-time starter on the outside last year to begin with, so there's not like there's any guys that you say, at least on the corner position, that's a lock.
Nobody's
That makes
safe,
sense.
is what we were
You
saying.
know, no, I'm just saying like a locked-in starter. Like there's certain guys, no matter what they do, let's face it, they're going to be the locked-in starter at the position based off of whether it's the contract situation or the case may be. There's no locked-in
Heath.
starter. There's no locked-in starters.
I can't stand.
There's no locked-in
you already
starters
seen
on
that, G.
at the corner. Yeah, I seen that coming. There's no locked-in starters at the corner position. So, but he's deserved that right. He's earned that right to be their starting corner going into training camp, going into the preseason, and it's his to lose. Like he deserves it. They shouldn't bury him on the depth chart because he doesn't fit. Their mold of what they want their corner to be, whatever that is, 6'1", whatever the case may be. He deserves that right. Let him play.
It scares me though,
yeah,
G, because they signed AB to that 3-year deal, and they are adamant about this, height, length thing, and then you just got Jay Lou who just wants to play, man. Let him play.
That's cool. But one thing I'll say about Jay Lou, I mean, on top of being, a dog on the field, he's very smart, like just a person to be around. He's very resilient. So his height, he's been his height his whole life, if that makes sense. This is just another. What he's hearing now. He's probably heard in different situations, and he's always come out on top, right? He probably heard going into college like, you're not gonna get recruited to a big D1 school because of your height, because it is. He still made it to Michigan. You probably heard like, when you get to Michigan, you ain't gonna do nothing in college because of your height, and still balled out there and ended up being a second round draft pick. So for him, ain't nothing changed. It's the same story, just different character. You know what I'm saying? So he'll be all right. He'll be all right. I have full confidence in him. He's gonna put his best foot forward.
Hey, G, let me ask you this then. We got a loaded room as it relates to free safety. And I know some people got positional flex, but I'm looking at just skill set. You got Xavier Woods. You got hilarious Clinton Dix. You got also Donovan Wilson. You got all of those boys. I look at them as free. Who can play down inside in that box? Are you going to put Worley there? Are you going to try to figure out ways to put Thompson there?
Are we even going to use strong safety?
Or are we going to use it in this particular defense? And can you
So
give us a little insight on Coach Edwards as well?
So
Well,
Coach Edwards, if I'm not mistaken, he's the linebackers coach and not the D
Right.
coordinators. So
Right.
I think this is going to be Nolan's scheme. If it was Edwards' scheme, I know what it would be. So talking to my friend Chris Banjo, who played with Nolan in New Orleans, from what I'm taking from him, it'll be like a cover 4 kind of defense. And so I know safeties in that could be interchangeable. Like you said, they have pretty much all the same body types at the safety position right now. They don't have that true traditional, let's say, down in the box strong safety. And it's okay if they're running what my friend said they're running, like, quarters, shell kind of team. You would actually maybe even prefer guys to that body type like Xavier, Clinton Dixon, Donovan
knew it.
Wilson, of things of that nature, Darian Thompson. So I think they're okay from that standpoint if that's the defense they're going to run. You're right, they don't have that traditional big body free. And if you run it in small doses, one of those guys will just have to hold up. But let's not confuse it. Even though they don't have that traditional big body type of strong safety, when I was there, Xavier Woods, he was down in the box quite a few times, and just the way they're running that defense, and so he's used to handling himself down there. He probably wouldn't prefer to be down there all the time, just that's what I would think. But they'll be all right, just depending on how much they call it. And then George Edwards, man, he's smart. He's probably one of the smarter coaches. He was Zim's right hand man. Obviously, it was Zim still calling the defense there because he will never let
Zim.
call that. It's Zim. Like he's just that's his child. But George is right there in his pocket, in his right pocket, and in his ear with every decision along the way. So that right there, to me, I don't know much about Nolan personally, and I've never played under him, but just George there, I'm very confident that defense will be better because of his knowledge, the discipline he'll bring to that team. I don't want to say they don't take chances, but they do take chances. Like they draw up the way they schemed the blitzes in Minnesota. Here we go. Yeah, the way they drew up blitzes in Minnesota, there was always a guy coming free.
Oh, I just watched the tape from last year,
I
was seeing the same thing, Jay.
Right, and I wasn't there long enough to say with the Cowboys to see, how the season was going to be in terms of their game plan. But I was just saying, my short time there, they drew up blitzes to try to get guys free, but the emphasis was this D line has to win. Which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're paying D-Law on the board. They had Robert Quinn, and they did their thing, but it's just another level when you can get guys on top of being great athletes like they are, scheming them up to be free. So if he adds just that to that defense from a third down standpoint, like his third down blitz package, he just adds that level to their defense, they'll be a whole nother defense because it's going to make that ball come out quicker. And then you're going to get, how they're complaining about picks, that's going to help them DBs get more opportunities to get their hands on the ball. So, all these tall corners that you're saying that they're bringing in and whatnot, and my man Jay Lou. So I don't know, I like this addition because just from that third down standpoint, that blitz package, his knowledge of that, the discipline that he brings, I don't see any reason why last year's the Cowboys team this year is not better than the Cowboys team last year from a defensive standpoint.
Hey, G, let me just ask one one quick question. We've been talking about the corners and that situation. Now, we also heard about the linebackers. We hear about they're talking about maybe moving Jalen Smith outside and possibly moving Van Der Esch inside. What do you think they're going to kind of do? Do you think they're going to stay with that 4-3, or do you think that 3-4 is transitioning? Do you think this is where the start is with that possible switch?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I thought they were a 4-3 last year. Right there. But the safety was always in the box, so it made Jalen and Vander. Yeah, it's always single high. It made Jalen and Van Der Esch the inside linebackers technically, because it's four people in the, four backers technically and four D linemen. So it kind of made him feel like he was playing inside. But I would think that honestly, personally, for their body types and what I feel like their abilities are, I would like Jalen to play inside and Van Der Esch to play outside. But that's if they saw something on film that they're like, we want Van Der Esch inside, then that's cool. Because the only reason I say that is because last year, when there was somebody who's going to cover like a tight end or running back at the linebacker position, it was Van Der Esch. And your inside linebacker is not usually getting that matchup. That's usually your outside linebacker.
They were sending Jalen.
Yeah, they were sending Jalen. So that's why when you said they're thinking about moving from the outside, I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's just like with the previous regime, the previous defense, he was in the inside and he was blitzing, or maybe sometimes lined up against a matched up against a running back coming out the backfield. But the guy who had the cover duties was Van Der Esch. And so when you want that in that kind of defense, you usually keep them on the outside. So that'll be interesting to see.
Well, the reason why he brings it up is because we had McCarthy come out, and even Nolan and Tom Sula, they came out and basically said we're going to be a hybrid defense. It's not going to be just a 4-3. We're going to run some 3-4 principles. And then you see the players they bring in, right? Dontari Poe, who can play that true nose tackle. Alden Smith, who played outside linebacker in the 3-4. And then they're kind of emphasizing Randy Gregory too, right? It seems like we're going to get him back, and he's probably going to stand up. So it looks like it's going to have some 3-4 to it and mixed with the 4-3, so hence hybrid. But I got a question about Minnesota. I've been kind of trying to wrap my mind around this with the safeties. Obviously, you play safety over there. You play with some dang good ones, too, with Harris, Smith, and even a young buck from Clemson. Can I get his name? Oh, my goodness. He was big. He's tall like you, like 6'4".
Jerome Curse.
Yes,
yeah.
Curse.
Yeah.
So to me, I know Harris and Smith used to play opposite. Harris used to play strong, I think it was, and Smith used to play free, and they kind of switched a little bit last year. In that defense, was there even a traditional strong and free, or did they play kind of that quarters like you said?
And that's the defense that's the system I grew up in my entire time in the league. And so when I got into the league, body type, I was always called body type. They see me say strong safety.
Mm-hmm.
But I was always labeled as a free safety because on third down, I was playing the middle high, right? And Harrison Smith would be in that position, would be technically in the box on third downs. He's in the blitz packages. When you're down in the box, you're technically the strong safety, especially if you're to the tight end side. And so, but yeah, it's a shell kind of defense. And on third down, they get funky with it. They'll go single high. They'll go cover zero. They'll go cover one. And the strong safety, quote unquote, I guess you want to put like that, the Harrison Smith position will be down there in the box somewhere, in the blitz package. And he was great at that. And they, like I said, and it wasn't, he's a great player, but I'm saying, like, it wasn't too many times that they're saying, like, hey, we need you to go beat this this offensive tackle. We need you to beat the guard. We need you to beat the running back. They were drawing it up that either he was going to be free or the other linebacker is going to be free. And that's why I'm saying George Edwards, you'll see that next year. Like, guys should be coming, at least one guy free coming in on third down.
It's making me smile.
So, but yeah, it's a shell defense. If I have to say something about that, that's just a shell defense.
I had a feeling, man, because and that's what that thought for me with the whole. I don't think they really are looking for your traditional box safety. I think the way they want to play on the outside with those corners, and then you kind of confirming that Edwards and that defense over there in Minnesota was more of a shell. I feel like that's why they're like, okay, we don't have to go get Jamal Adams, because I think Xavier Woods, Clint Dix, and Donovan Wilson can at least play some coverage back there. Yeah,
and so another thing about that defense, if they say George has a lot of influence in it, just on that shell defense in terms of like the, I don't say just the philosophy. Like, when you're in that defense, they want to stop the run in a 7-man box. So if you ever see the Cowboys next year in an 8-man box, that means they're getting their ass kicked in the run, and that's not what that defense wants. That's not what you want to do.
That makes so much sense, though.
And that was a change for me, because when I came to the Cowboys in OTAs, so it's pretty much cover 3, and I would try to like disguise it, and then I would try to disguise it and then walk down into the cover 3. And Rashard was like, "No, line up in cover 3." I'm like, "Oh, you want them to know we're in cover 3?" He's like, "Yeah, this is our defense."
Wow.
He's like, "This is our
Say
defense."
that again. Say it again. Say it again, G. Say it one more time.
So in the in the other defense, in the shell defense, the system I grew up in with under Zim, under Polly, under George Edwards, and those guys, like, you want to try to defeat the run. You want to stop the run in the 7-man box, because by stopping the man in the 7-man box, you have more guys in coverage, right? You have 4 guys, let's say, designated for coverage first. And so if we're down in an 8-man box, that means we haven't been able to stop the run in a 7-man box. And so that's fine. Like, we've been in single high throughout my times in that defense. That's what it is. Because some teams run the ball better than others, but we wouldn't just show it. And it's not what we do. And so when I got to the Cowboys, like, I knew it was a single high team, but I would start high like I used to do traditionally, and then walk down late and show them the offense late that, we're in this 8-man box. And Rashard was like, "No, get down in." I'm like, "Oh, you want me to show, like, want me to give it away?" He's like, "No, we're an 8-man box team. I want them to know. And in his philosophy is just the other way around. We're going to show them an 8-man box. We're going to show them an 8-man box, which is going to make them want to throw the ball, right? We're going to show them an 8-man box, and we're going to tell them you're not going to run into this 8-man front because we have a guy for every gap, which I understand that point of it. We're going to make them throw. But the philosophy is just the other way around.
I got to ask you this, though, for the clarification for the nation. Is this, or was it a Chris Richard's defense or Papa Rob Marinelli's defense?
We talked about that last time.
I know y'all. I heard y'all talk about it, but the people, the audience over here, got to know.
They over there clamoring for it.
They clamoring for it.
They clamoring for it, G.
Sitting on the edge of their seat,
eating their popcorn, G.
It felt like Richard's defense.
Okay.
Because it's definitely his coverage, and from and when I was there, Marinelli would start the meeting and then just toss it to Richard. So like from a structure standpoint, Marinelli had the defensive coordinator title, but every time the meetings were being ran by Richard and the guy calling the plays for Richard. So I'm just telling you what it felt like. I'm just saying what it felt like, and he had a lot of influence. At least I felt like when it came to like how things were going to be. I just felt like Marinelli he dealt with the D line, and I get that he dealt with the D line, their stunts, and that. That's kind of how I felt when I was there. But the person who had the most influence was Richard, from the defense to the coverage and everything of that nature. I felt like, for sure.
Did he have influence on the defense he walked into, or did he come in and he changed it to his defense?
I got there after him, so I couldn't tell you that. But yeah, I couldn't really speak to that.
That makes sense.
I could guess, but yeah.
That makes sense. I want to go back to what you said about the Vikings who want to beat you with the 7-man box and kind of correlate it to what the Cowboys are doing right now, and why I think it was different than what they were doing previously. When you said we try to win with the 8-man in the box, you can tell because they didn't emphasize defensive tackles. They didn't care about the run stuffing beast defensive tackles like Linval Joseph or Gerald McCoy or Dontari Poe. But now you got George Edwards over there, and we're trying to play a little bit. You said that shell defense, right? And we want to beat you with the 7 guys in the box. Well, you got to have defensive tackles that are going to clog the lanes, and they went out and got 2 of them. So I kind of want to listen to the fan or talk to the fans here about I think the difference in what we were doing prior and what we're doing now. We had light in the butt guys. No offense to Collins and Antoine Woods and what have you, but Marinelli wanted to get upfield, right? They were playing to the quarterback, play the running back to the quarterback. That was his style.
I don't want to speak too much, on the previous D-line because I don't know particularly what Marinelli was wanting them to do and teaching them to do. I just knew how the secondary and the linebackers fit into the scheme of it. But in the defense that George Edwards was in, and the one I played in Cincy where we had Geno, like you always had you had to have a dog at the 3 technique, because not only did they need him to get upfield, if your 3 technique is let's say whooping the guard's ass, he pretty much just took away every outside gap because in these zone running teams with the running backs, he can't get past them. And so Geno was like that. I mean, still is like that, obviously, because he made the Pro Bowl last year. But my point, that was the difference of philosophy there. And I wouldn't necessarily say they were trying to, let's say, beat you in the 7-man box. The philosophy is when we come out on first down, that on the first down you can get anything. You can run, you can get pass, right? Yeah, you can get anything on first down. You get it. You can get a run, you can get a pass. Well, if you're in this 8-man box, you're more susceptible to the pass, right? And so we hope to come out in a shell, kind of in a 7-man box on first down, and say, if you do run it, we're still going to stop you, right? In a 7-man box. And if you pass it, that's perfect. Pass into this, because now we're in shell. You're not going to really beat people deep when they're in shell. Whether it's quarters or cover 2 or quarter half, whatever nature of shell it is, it's harder to throw into that. Teams don't want that. Teams want to throw into single high. It makes sense, right? When you go 4 verticals, what teams do when they want to take their shots, it's 4 verticals if you're in single high to 3 DBs. If you go 4 verticals to a shell, right? I won't say go be open. It's just people got more responsibility, put it like that. Gotta, one guy to 1.5 receivers, put it like that. And then when you're in shell and you try to go 4 verticals to that, it's 4 DBs to 4 verticals. It just naturally makes sense. We're talking math. But my point is they want to come out on first down in shell and try to stop you from running it into that. And if you decide to throw, because you haven't been able to run successfully, into the 7-man box, then you're throwing it into our advantage, if that makes sense. The only place I would say that it's that the shell right? Makes you more susceptible to is like, let's say underneath, because now you have obviously less defenders underneath, but that's where you need your D line to get back there and cause pressure. But here we go. So that's first down, right? So you win on first down, and now you're in second and long. Now you're definitely playing to the defensive hand. Now we can get funky as a defense, right? And then third down, and that's what I'm saying. So third down is where they used to make their, hey, you give Zim, George Edwards defense third and fourth and one more, or really maybe I'll even say sometimes third and three or more, to lighten your ass up. And that's what they're looking for. And that starting a shell early on made it to that. You know what I mean? So
this stuff. Y'all are getting
I like
gems.
I
with this
like
stuff.
I like the way I
Football
like the way you said
my
they
goodness.
lighten your ass up. That gets me excited.
You just took
They
us to
lighten
school,
your
fam.
ass up.
Yes, indeed, man.
You just
This
took
is
us to
good
school.
stuff,
I love
man.
that. I'm actually gonna run this back and chop this up for
Bring
it's
that
like,
beat back.
It's like football 101. Seriously, for the defense we may be playing, and just in general, people need to hear that because I mean, listen, not everybody is
don't know.
X's and O's. Not everybody knows what you were just talking about. You know what I mean?
Hey, the
That's
80%, like
great
I say.
insight, man. Great insight.
Yes, indeed.
So
Go ahead, James, because I was gonna ask him about this digs. Do you pay attention to any
I
of
was
these?
already.
Oh, you was on the same.
You was in my
wavelength?
head. You was in
That's
my
what I'm
head.
talking
Yeah,
about.
okay,
I'm in
that's
your
all
head.
good. You in my head. I'm
Why
in your
don't you
head.
ask him the question then?
Oh well, I
Big
was just
game
You know,
plan.
actually.
Go
actually
ahead.
Actually, I forgot about him. My fault. He probably gonna start too, though. My bad. I forgot about
so
that.
is it him or
First round corner.
Jordan?
So he's a dog. He's the dog
He's
carrier.
a
No, you
dog.
need you need two corners. Yeah, but you need two corners. Don't get it.
Yeah.
I
True
mean, you
story.
still
True
need two
story.
corners.
You can never have too
I
many
think he's
corners.
starting.
Yeah, I mean, because Jordan, like I said, Jordan still needs to start off as a starter. Period.
Right.
He deserves that right. He's earned that right. And I really, honestly, I still feel like, regardless of where rookies drafted first round, you know why they brought him in. You still got to make them at least fake earn it. So they
Right.
most of the times I don't feel like they should start off first day with the ones. I mean, I've been in a situation where I've seen teams do that, but at least majority of the time they kind of make fake them earn it. Like, no, we're gonna start you off with the twos or the threes, and
Right,
and
yeah.
make you earn it. But and then 9 times out of 10 they're gonna get to that, with the ones, because if you are what they wanted you to be, you made it there because you're a good player. You showed enough to be there. But so either way, regardless of saying like he probably gonna end up starting at some point, the first round corner, Jordan deserves to start the off season off as a one corner. Absolutely.
Did you like the Cowboys draft?
They did their thing. They did their thing for sure. They got
that
CD
Lamb.
Lamb. They got CD Lamb. That's
That
crazy
Lamb.
right there. I don't
That's
think
crazy.
I don't think most people saw that coming. I thought they did a good job.
Dallas
My
didn't see
draft.
it coming.
No way.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I think they did a good job of drafting the corner. Not because of the guys they have in the roster, but you lost, your premier corner. You lose one, you got to bring one. You see what I'm saying? And let it play out however it plays out. So that made sense. And then later in the rounds, I think they did a solid job as well. So now I thought Dallas had a good draft. I thought the Dolphins had a good draft. Honestly, personally, people don't look. I think Cincy had a solid draft. Not sexy from the names, the guys, but they hit every position that they needed. And that to me can go as well as a good draft. Like for instance, like if you get good players but don't hit the positions you need, some people will still say that's a great draft if you got these big name guys. But Cincy, to me, they had a solid draft because they filled all the needs in which that team needed. So those three teams had a good draft.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a lot of people had
Do you
Cincy
like
up there.
that coach? Do you like
What was
Cincy's
that?
coach? Do you like Cincy's coach?
Zach Taylor, I wasn't there for him, so he's young. All I know about him is he's young. He's tied to Sean McVay, and you know how that works.
Yeah,
and,
if you rub shoulders with McVay,
Right.
Yeah, so
Right. Get a
but
job.
I can't speak to him as a. I mean, I've talked to some guys that still there, but I don't know none. I can't talk about someone I've never had a personal
Gotcha.
interaction with. That's
Gotcha.
not how I operate. So they gave him the job because they thought he's qualified, and so he got the quarterback that they all wanted, Joe Burrow. So probably has like 2 years, 3 years to make some of it.
you know whose draft I liked. I don't know if you got a chance to really take a look at it. Was the Panthers draft? They kept taking dudes. We did a draft show, and they kept taking. They got Derek Brown. I think they got the Penn State defensive end, right? Gross Matos. Didn't they get him too?
Gross-Matos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got.
I
They
think got a
want
safety.
defense. They want defense heavy, and at first I was like surprised. I was shocked because when you look at that division, you look at the Saints offensive powerhouse, Drew Brees, right? Mike Thomas. They just signed Emmanuel Sanders. They obviously got Alvin Kamara, right? Then you go up the street, you go to Tampa. We know what they packing on offense, right? When you
That's
that division, I think they had 3 teams in the top 5 in total offense, or top
Mhm,
6.
Ryan.
And the only team that was out of that top 5 or top 10 was the Panthers. In terms, so y'all said, why would they just like load up on offense and go power for power? But they probably said, listen, we probably not going to outgun these teams.
Yeah.
So let's go the defensive route, right? And then when we look at their division, I love Teddy Bridgewater, but honestly, as good as he is or may be, he's probably the worst best, last best. He's the worst quarterback.
He's the 4th best
in that
quarterback
division.
in the division.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. He's the 4th best quarterback in that division.
Yeah.
We got Tom Brady, we got
There you go.
Drew Brees, and we got Matt Ryan, a former MVP. So they probably say, all right, quarterback for quarterback, we probably don't want to put him in a situation where he's getting into a shootout. So the best offense is a good defense. What's the best way to limit Tom Brady, limit Drew Brees' defense? That's what the San Francisco 49ers did. Oh, that's not San Francisco 49ers. That's what team were the Saints playing in the playoffs?
This year, Vikings.
And that's the route they took. So, that's kind of how you got to go about it.
It's kind of that Texans thinking from back in the day where they had a chance to take Reggie Bush or Mario Williams, and the owner, general manager said, well, listen, we got Peyton Manning in the division. We got to stop Peyton Manning, so we're going to take defense. So
I ain't gonna lie. That I was a kid when they had that draft. I was salty. I wanted them to draft Reggie.
I did too.
I think maybe Vince. I think Vince was in that draft.
Yes, Vince Young. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Texas, and if you're from Texas, you know anything. Vince was like that legend, and he's from Houston. So, yeah, that's no here or there. But
it's that line of thinking, though.
Yeah, it's a line of thinking.
Speaking of quarterbacks, where you think Cam gonna go? What's going to happen with him?
Ooh, I don't know. How many jobs are really available for what he's looking for? He's trying to be a starter.
Day one,
yeah, day one. And and I understand his thinking behind that. He's a former MVP and made it to the Super Bowl, so he's coming off an injury. Before the injury, he was playing pretty solid. So in his head, he sees himself as a starter, and I see him as a starter. But what jobs are there available? We just see Jameis Winston. He was waiting for a starting job, couldn't find one, so signed with the Saints for it was like $1 million and some change. Andy Dalton. I thought he was going to get a starting gig somewhere at some point. Heck, to me, the one starting gig I thought he would get with the Patriots, and they, for whatever reason, either don't view him as a starter or just like what they have above him. And so you got to ask yourself, not for Cam, but just in general, like what team out there is literally going to give him right now a starting spot?
He's going to have to humble himself.
Humble yourself. You can say that, or just take a
or wait until
somebody
gets hurt. Kind of
wait.
Wait to go down to Miami. Who over there in Miami?
Tua Tagovailoa for the future.
Fitzpatrick, but they're not trying to bring Kent. And at first I thought, like, all right, bring him to Jacksonville. But Andy could have went to Jacksonville because Andy's that kind of guy where he don't mind competing with Minshew from the second position. Like I said, I couldn't see Cam going into Jacksonville and being like,
I see what you're saying.
I'm backing up Minshew.
I'm backing up Minshew.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He ain't doing that.
What has he done compared to me? I'm just saying that's how he's probably thinking.
Right.
So you might be right. He might need I don't like using the word humble yourself. I don't know if he's not humble, but he might have to just realize the situation and say, man, I don't like it, but I don't like the cards being dealt, but this is how I'm gonna play it out. And so, but yeah, I don't think he's going into a starting situation.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Cam, rooting for Cam. I've been rooting for him since they've been dogging him when he got drafted. But when people were saying, we should bring Cam Newton in here, I'm like, guys, this is not the type of team for Cam. Okay?
Jerry?
Yeah.
I'm saying this team right now with Dak Prescott as a quarterback in the future, you don't want to bring Cam up in here, man. He's not trying to be a backup. You want problems? Bring Cam in here.
Hey, if we was you know what? No, if we was on a more cultural show, we could get into the dynamics of why.
You going the other way?
What are you going back for?
You go to that's for the members only.
Members only.
That's for the members only.
Okay, that's members only.
Dak is a threshold.
I know.
And you see what he going through to get his money.
I know where you're going. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Cam personality and Jerry. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I don't like
the one thing about Dak that I said I wish Dak had more of was that I don't give a goddamn attitude. You know what I mean? Like there's times where Tony said I don't care what you call Scott Linehan, I'm changing the play. There's times when Tom is like I don't care, we're gonna do it this way. There's times when probably Drew Brees probably did the same thing. Dak is always gonna do what the coaches say to do though. Always gonna do it. Sometimes you just gotta just go with it. Go with the gusto, man. That's all. But yeah, we definitely gotta save that for the members only. I want to hear what you gotta say.
So, not too many. I mean, even Cam got into it with his if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it was Cam got into it with his previous owner because he told him something about his appearance. You know, the one that ended up selling the team, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, when he was dressing like
Yeah,
Medea?
with the tattoos. He said he don't want Cam to get any.
Oh, yeah, it was a
tattoos.
tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just
Yeah.
bringing it up as an example to say the quarterback, which is the franchise player of any team, regardless of like how good they may or may not be, that's the next person in line versus like the face of a franchise after the owner. So I just don't think from that standpoint that's the look or fit that Jerry is going to, and that's why I say Dak is the threshold. You know, because he's a good.
He's not
you know,
going to deal with that, Cam.
He's clean cut. You know.
Yeah, he ain't gonna shake. He ain't gonna shake nothing up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He's not gonna
We
come
all
out.
know what Cam brings to the table, and Jerry. You already dealt with Dez, and nobody's hating on that with Dez. But if you already saw with Dez
at the receiver position,
at the receiver position, and Stephen Jones was like, "We done with that. We're not dealing with that no more." There's no way they're gonna bring in Cam.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because people were saying, you know, Cam. I'm like, listen, if it wasn't Cam Newton and his name was, you know, John Jerry, and he didn't come with the, you know, the Cam Newton stuff, then sure. But unfortunately, it's a whole, you know, he has his own personality that I don't know would work here in Dallas.
Fitzpatrick got a job, like you said. Ryan Fitzpatrick got a job out there, so you know.
Facts.
Come on.
Also, when we're talking about Cam, we're not talking. The reason why, on top of that not working, that's on a clean slate with there being no Dak Prescott in the picture. I don't think I would have brought in Cam either into a situation where we have a guy that we give a franchise tag to,
right?
And Dak Prescott. You see what I'm saying? Like Cam wouldn't take this position that Andy took.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't. You see what I'm saying? Like
no.
I would argue, like I said, Cam is very confident, and rightfully so. He's earned that right. I don't see him taking this position as like I'm here to, you know, just help Dak any way I can. Like, I'm here to take his. I'm here to take his shit. That's how he would.
Right.
That's how. If he didn't say it like that, that's the vibe.
His face would tell you.
His face would tell you that. You know what I mean? I ain't taking a back seat. So I don't think from that standpoint it worked out with Cam either.
Well, let me ask you this though, since you mentioned Andy again. Shouldn't Andy be looking at this of what Ryan Tannehill did over there in Tennessee and sitting there saying, okay, if I get this situation?
Different situation. No, he should be looking at it in terms of like, if I get an opportunity, I'm going to ball out like Ryan Tannehill. But it's a different situation. Ryan Tannehill took the job in Tennessee because they were already shaky on Mariota going into that season. So you know going in, like, there's good backup position jobs and there's like not so good. Like that to me, that's why I was surprised when Andy went to Dallas, you know, but it makes sense because he lives here, the coronavirus. I get all that. But what I'm saying is Dak, if he signs, this is not a good backup quarterback position job. Dak has been healthy throughout his career. So it's not a high percentage chance that you're going to get in and play. Also, not to mention Dak is on the franchise tag, which means that tells you what the team thinks about him as a quarterback. The Tennessee Titans job backup position was a more attractive one for a guy like Ryan Tannehill because they were already shaky on Mariota going into the year. I think they benched Mariota within game 4, game 5. And when I looked at the stats, they weren't sexy, but he wasn't out there just throwing picks like Jameis Winston. He was just throwing like 2 touchdowns a game and an interception. Like he'll have a game where he only throw 1 touchdown, no interception. So they were just done with Marcus Mariota in terms of like, we don't think he could be any better. And then they just wanted to shock their offense and put Ryan Tannehill. That's not happening next year with Dak. I don't care how Dak come out. He's a franchise quarterback. He's not in a shaky. Dak has proven himself for 4 years to me at an elite level to where he can have a bad streak of games. It don't even matter. So this is not a Ryan Tannehill, Marcus Mariota situation. I would say the closest thing to a Marcus Mariota, Ryan Tannehill situation is a Marcus Mariota to Derek Carr situation.
Oh,
and that's why he went there. Yeah, and that's why he went there because John Gruden has always been shaky on Derek Carr. Even no matter what Derek Carr does, he's always just lukewarm on him when he's speaking to me. He's always openly looking for new quarterbacks. I haven't seen the Dallas Cowboys openly glamoring over other quarterbacks and looking for other quarterbacks. They like Dak Prescott. They just obviously don't like Dak Prescott for what Dak Prescott think he deserves, and that's where they're not finding the middle ground or the common ground, so to say.
Wow. Hey, I got these 2 questions with quarterbacks, and you're talking about shakiness. Jordan Love over there in Green Bay land. And my boy Scott, he brought this up last night. Nobody, the national media, is not talking about this. And the Jalen Hurts to Carson Wentz. What are your thoughts on those 2 situations?
Okay, so
because
everybody have something to say about Dak, but what about that?
Yeah, we did an episode on that. So if I'm looking at it from an Aaron Rodgers standpoint, if I'm him, yeah, I'm salty. I'm salty for the fact that we all know that he hasn't had a first round offensive weapon since he's been there, right?
Yeah.
And his coach was who? Mike McCarthy. So that adds to a level of saltiness. Like I was like, all right, you're my head coach, and you didn't get me no first round weapon, and then you go to the Cowboys, and the first thing you turn around and do is get a first round weapon. So boom. So then to add another level of saltiness to it, then the first time you give me a first time offensive weapon, it's a quarterback. That'll make me feel some kind of way because if you're in a let's win now kind of situation, you're putting all your eggs in a basket right now, right? Even if Jordan Love is sitting there, even if Jordan Love is the next Aaron Rodgers, if you're going, like, if the goal of Super Bowls and there's a chance to help us win a Super Bowl this year, you put all your eggs in that basket. So I can see, I would understand if Aaron Rodgers is salty from that position, but the person, so he should feel more, let's say, salty. The person who's going to play quick sooner is obviously going to be Jalen Hurts. Just from like I said, remember we're talking about a good backup quarterback, a more attractive backup spot, quarterback.
Yeah,
right.
It's Philly. I mean, I'm not putting the blame on Carson, but he's been banged up, in crucial moments in his career. I mean, let's look at the playoffs last year when Nick Foles, he helped them get the Super Bowl. So if you're a backup quarterback, at some point, just based off of the law of averages in history with him, and you're probably going to play at some point for a significant time. And so I could see Jalen Hurts playing but I do see Jalen Hurts playing way sooner. And they've already talked about putting in packages for him and using him like a Taysom Hill, which is crazy that,
on steroids.
That he has his own, packages in the NFL, but whatever the point may be.
I don't believe.
Yeah, that's crazy. But anyways, they're going to use him more.
You can't tell me, G, that they took Jalen Hurts to beat Taysom. They took him because they scared of their quarterback that keep getting hurt every single year. And I
agree with you.
I'm not saying you're saying that, but the fans
right.
are trying to spin it. It's so funny, Eagle fans. It's so funny. Don't mind us real quick because don't mind us.
That's what their coaches said. That's what their front office said. They're trying, and again, this situation is different.
They are the ones doing this.
So we also did a segment on who should feel more disrespected or more threatened. We said Dak Prescott with Andy getting signed, or Jalen Hurts, or
that's a good.
And Carson Wentz. That's what we said. Who should vote? And I said that I believe that Dak, because the difference between their situation, Carson got the bag already. It's a little different when you sign on that down and you get your money. Like, yeah, you might not like what's behind you, but you're like, if I'm Dak, I feel a little bit more disrespected because everybody kept getting paid before me.
That's the one thing we keep saying.
And then they signed Andy.
Everybody keeps getting signed. We're like,
they signed Andy.
It's not even Andy. Even Andy. What's his name? Alden Smith. We was like, damn, y'all signed a dude who ain't playing 5 years. But I get it. The money matters, right? You signed these dudes for $3 million, and then for what was Alden Smith? $4 million, $2 million guarantee. So I get it's easier to sign a deal for a low amount of money. But I was thinking along the same lines, like, all right, cool and all, but damn, can you pay your quarterback?
But can I bring in some objectivity? Is there a contract on the table for Dak Prescott? Is it his agency?
Yeah, they're just talking about the years. They're saying it's 4 to 5 years.
There's a contract. It's just they don't like what's been offered, and that's part of the business. But they've offered them. They've offered them.
Yeah, from what we're being told from a lot of the insiders is the guaranteed is not an issue. The annual salary is not an issue. It's all about that 1 year because it can play a major difference when this cap goes up with these TV deals. But that could be affected. That's what we hear.
Hey, what are your thoughts?
What are your thoughts on that?
What are your thoughts on it?
You got a contract.
Yeah, that's not from me. That's from the reporters on the inside. They're saying this is about 4 and 5 years.
I didn't know, to me, that a year would hold up a deal.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. That don't make no damn sense. But
if the guaranteed is right, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, but when you seen Carson Wentz, he signed his 4 years. Goff 4 years. I don't understand why the big deal. Why Dak can't? Aaron Rodgers 4 years. All these guys got 4-year deals. What's the big deal? Why Dak can't get his 4?
No, he did. And again, so that's the thing. So if it's 4, if the holdup is he wants a 4-year deal and they're trying to make it a 5, I get it. You are losing money because after that 4, you can get more money.
Mm-hmm.
But is that enough to, let's say, go on the franchise tag 2 years?
No.
If possible, I don't know, if that's enough to hold it up. And is that what Jerry is banking on? You're gonna hold up a deal on a 4 or 5. But then at the same time, you can look at Dak. Dak could look at Jerry you about to hold up a deal on, you know,
Yeah.
but
Right.
this is how, and I think this is how, and this is what I'm saying. I don't want him to be like, I don't want him to get like, what's the name? Kirk. I don't want him to get
Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Jared could look at it like, all right, boom, I'm gonna get my 5 years. Boom, I'm a franchise tag it this year and get it at 4 next year, and it was still 5. You know, you see what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's what's
Here's
what's
my
playing out
theory,
in their
Jay.
minds.
Here's my theory: is because of the COVID-19, there are no deadlines. The main deadline is July 15th. But remember, we had deadlines before that. You got mini camps, all right? You got OTAs, you got training camp, and with a new coach, those type of deadlines mean something because you want your franchise quarterback in there with the new system. But right now, we have no clue when those things are going to be. So without deadlines, that plays into the Cowboys' favor. One thing we know as Cowboy fans is that these guys cave. They've caved to Zeke, they caved to D-Law, they caved to Dez, Zach. They've caved to everybody, right? And eventually it'll happen because of deadlines. But we ain't got none right now. So I think Jerry's like, well, what the hell I got to do the deal for right now? And then Dak is like, well, what the hell I got to do the deal for right now? So there's no pressure.
No, there's definitely this COVID definitely in terms of it's unfortunate, but in terms of like their negotiations, probably helped out the Cowboys a little bit more because, like you said, they don't have to go in, and that's the biggest holdup. When I say like, remember when I said Dak needs to not show up to the offseason? You know, you got a new coach, a new system. Don't show up in the offseason. Things can't get moving without you. Things ain't really getting moving right now because of COVID, if that makes sense. They can't line up and run routes. They can't. And that's where the offense gets down packed. Like there's a certain part of the film, but like I said, it's the same. It's still Kellen, and Dak is a professional. So picking up on the playbook won't be an issue to him. It's getting the timing down. It's getting the mechanics of like how they want your steps to be on this play action or whatever the case may be. Those are a little different ins and outs of offense that you got to physically be there. And since he technically can't be there anyway right now because of COVID, you can't really, hold out from that standpoint. You could say I ain't showing up to the meetings. That's cool.
To the virtual meetings, right?
The virtual meetings, but like it's not much being gained and lost from that standpoint. So yeah, this might help them out a little bit. But things will open up back soon, and we'll see.
With you damn Skippy, we will. I think the last time a quarterback kind of held out into camp like that was Drew Brees, but I have to go back and check because I know Drew got tagged and he was like, "No, I'm not playing until we get this deal done." But I don't think it dragged too far into close to the season, but it dragged a little bit. But obviously the Saints aren't the Cowboys, so you know how that goes.
Yeah,
you know how that goes. Any parting shots here, gentlemen, on the panel?
No, not from me. I just appreciate you again, G, man. Love your stuff, dog. I love how we just kick in your rawness and your realness and how you give real answers to the people instead of, I know how we kick it anyway. Well, you know what I'm saying? But I just really appreciate how you bring that realness and not that fake stuff that a lot of these guys are talking.
Tell them what you give the people, G.
Yeah, just the realness. I appreciate it and thank you.
Already, thank you guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
it's always a good show when I'm on here.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Before we head out, though, man, once again, plug your stuff in, man. Tell them where they can find you and where they can get that podcast. And people in the chat, by the way, have absolutely loved what you've been giving them. So they're definitely probably going to be looking for your podcast. So tell them where they can find it, man.
No doubt. So if you listen to podcasts, we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Buzzsprout. Anywhere you can find a podcast. We're on Instagram at the Gym Bag Podcast. Also, I want you guys to stay safe out there. It's a crazy time right now. We're in this world. So just, protect yourself, protect your loved ones. I ain't going to tell you stay indoors and stay scared, but just, be smart when you're out there, Cover your damn, listen, when you sneeze, it's crazy. I was at the store the other day, and I know you're supposed to cover your mouth when you sneeze. I'm like, bro, it's 2020 and y'all still not cover your mouth when you sneeze.
Man,
did that when you was a kid.
But I seen someone sneeze. Matter of fact, before I leave, I got a little quick story for y'all.
Get it off.
Of course.
We ain't rushing.
We
ain't rushing.
We good.
I got about 5 minutes. I got to interview someone. But here we go. So, but yeah, like I said, take care of yourselves. Be safe. Wash your hands or whatnot. Just keep your loved ones close, man. Call them, tell them you love them, things of that nature, because you never know when you might lose them. But anyways, speaking about COVID and whatnot, so I'm at the grocery store. So like, remember I told y'all before we was on air, like how I'm on the side of, not that it's the flu, but I'm on the side of, like, I don't live in fear because I just take my normal precaution, but I ain't about to be indoors for 18 months, that kind of thing. I'm more on that side.
Right.
But that over the time of this thing, like we've been locked down for over a month, we're getting close to 2, right? And it has affected me, and I think it's affected everybody from, like, things are gonna be different when we let out officially, or like that. Like, I feel like it's gonna take a while for people to get readjusted to, embracing each other and not being so fearful of that, if that makes sense. And there's some things that are going to change for the better in terms of like people are going to be more cautious of their health and of like spreading germs, which is a good thing that can come out of this. But anyways, I'm at the grocery store and I don't even want to say who the player is because they're already in some heat. But it was a Cowboy player that I know that I'm cool with.
Uh-oh.
And so I don't know. I say just a Cowboy player, just
Right.
Cool with from a professional standpoint. I'm at the grocery store. And I see him, and I ain't see him since I was with the Cowboys, feel like that. But he down the aisle, but you make eye contact.
Yeah.
Any other situation, we going what's up, bro? Like we dapping, we chopping it up, but it's cold. Like if anybody been to the grocery store now, you know how quiet it is. It's like
it's eerie, bro.
It's just, like I said,
markers all over the
everybody's
floor.
scared. Yeah, you scared. You real cautious. Like you walk by the wrong person, you hold your breath by them because they just look funny. Anyways, I see him down the aisle. He see me. We see. I was like, I don't want to go over there because I'm like, I'm thinking like, I don't know where you've been. Like, I don't know who you've been around. Like,
right.
You probably ain't been social distancing that. And I'm like, man, I'm getting no punk G. So then I go there and we just chop it up for a little bit. But it was awkward because I was just like,
it's very awkward.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I could tell we've been in this lockup too long. Like, it was just awkward, getting in that pretty much that that foot space. We talk to someone, you about a foot away from them, and I don't type of time. And I definitely wasn't wearing no mask at the time because.
I know what you mean.
But anyway, yeah. So, anyways, that little story. Just times are different. They're gonna be different for a little bit.
It is.
That's when I knew, like, shit.
One of my buddies, one of my good friends, man, he hit me up a couple weeks ago. Was like, "What's up, Still? What you getting into? You trying to kick it?" I said, "Bruh, it's COVID. What you mean? We ain't kicking it."
Right, that's your boy.
That's my boy. And I'm like, no, we can't kick nothing.
People
bro.
in the chat over here, they trying to guess who it is. They saying it's Jeff Heath. It was Jeff Heath.
Nah.
They always got jokes.
They play offense. They play offense. I just
Guess
but anyway, it was awkward. And that's why I knew, like, I'm getting a little shook from this COVID thing because any other situation, like, man, you just talking. You can just go dap up and talk. But I was just like, we dapped elbows, like we did a little elbow pump, like we, you know what I'm saying? It was just different. It was just
get the head nod, yeah.
Yeah, it was just weird. It was just weird, and I knew it was because of COVID. But yeah, man.
Oh man.
But yeah, guys.
Oh man, listen, this was awesome. I'm probably had this audio up on the podcast version of it on the Stargaze big game, so we'll push that too. Because this was amazing stuff, man. And make sure y'all follow that Gym Bag podcast and keep rocking out with us. We're going to try to keep bringing you guys that heat. And George, stick around for real quick once we end this stream to give you the salutes out here. Keep rocking, man. Keep rocking, man. We're going to keep doing this thing. All right, y'all?
Yes, sir. Indeed. Let's go.
Y'all be safe.
And
Skywalker. Oh. Go ahead. And remember...
You're listening to nothing but the best. Let's go.
Peace.
Oh my goodness, man. That's a good show, man.
Yeah.